Hello everyone, this is Kaga. Welcome back to the channel. There are two subjects to today's video. The first being how one sets up more effective torpedo bomber strikes, and the other being how one manages fighter cover effectively against enemy carrier operations. Both will be demonstrated in a single replay with the USS Langley. Many of you who have been regulars to the channel have probably noticed that I've given the Tier 4 Japanese carrier, the Houshou, a little bit of extra love recently with a couple of videos, and I figured it was about time to put up a video or two about the USS Langley, the Tier 4 US carrier. Here's the first of those videos. Many of you who've probably played both the US carriers and the Japanese carriers can tell anyone in the room that there are some significant differences between the two carrier lines currently in World of Warships. I won't dive too much into these at the moment because there's a significant patch due out that may change the total landscape of carrier gameplay in this respect, but we can summarize a few of the points I suspect will stay the same. The first is squadron size. You will notice that in my previous videos on the Houshou that the Houshou was equipped with a total of 12 planes, just like you see on the Langley with 12 planes possible in the air at any one time. The difference is how they're organized. For the Houshou, you had 8 torpedo bombers organized into 2 squadrons of 4 planes each, and a single squadron of fighters with, again, 4 planes each. The Langley is, as you can see, just 2 squadrons, 6 planes each. A notable thing about the Langley, unlike the Houshou, is that the way it's constructed is somewhat trollish. You can see that those large spaces underneath the flight deck. Quite often it's the case that enemy vessels that decide to engage a Langley will see maybe about 60% of their shots miss the target, either due to them straddling the target or in some cases just passing straight through that open hangar deck. This is something that the Houshou doesn't have, despite being lower to the water than the Langley. It is one basically solid strip of steel that people can shoot at, so if they can hit the silhouette of the vessel, they will do damage, unlike the Langley where some of the shots will pass through. So right now you're seeing me begin the great game of chess with the enemy carrier drivers, and we're going to start off with the fighters here. I'm purposefully kiting along the path that the enemy fighters will likely take to engage the friendly bomber squadrons, and as soon as I see them decide to commit to the attack, I begin engaging them head on. And as you can see, our fighters are crushing the enemy soundly, and we'll pick up this entire squadron for nothing. Right now we'll move on to our bombers, and here we are. Decide to fake him out, come back in. This costs us a plane, but as you're going to see, here is a type of drop that works very well against Japanese battleships. It's a very extreme angle drop with respect to the normal, extending from the center line of the vessel, and as you can see, we pick up 5 torpedo hits and cause one hell of a rage in chat. So now that our bombers have expended their ammunition, they're on their way back. We'll rejoin our fighters because suspect that the enemy will not sit idly by while we've managed to reduce one of the carriers' fighter strength by half and pretty much ruin that entire battleship's match right at the beginning of the game. So right now I see those enemy fighters closing in on the friendly torpedo bomber squadron, and I vector in my fighters to have a crack at them. And yes, you can see that Myogi is in very sad state right now, And here we are, joining our fighters, and yeah, we've lost one, but we're going to claim this enemy squadron right here. Not much to it, really and truly. I'm looking forward to the new broad area fighter skill that's going to come in the next patch. I think it'll really help make the US carrier line more appealing to me. Well, I take that back. It'll make the fighters more useful in general because the new skill that they're floating with the next patch in terms of fighters is all driven at increasing the damage dealt by fighters in a given area against targets that fly into that area, provided that the ammunition expenditure out of the fighters who the command is given to exponentially increases, and thus it limits their total combat time. So it should add a nice extra dimension to this fighter business in World of Warships. And as you can see, we perfectly timed that interdiction against the enemy torpedo bombers, as they only got one of their 5 automatic drop torpedoes to connect with our friendly South Carolina. Our bombers are back up in the air, and I'm vectoring them to help cover this southeastern area that I'm currently steaming towards, fully expecting that the enemy will try to push their way into this area. I'm focusing on thinning out their battleships just a little bit. So here's this Kawachi, put out a decent spread on him. I'm gonna pick up 4 hits. Yeah, it looks like 4 hits. It's not too bad. Nope, only 3 hits and 2 floods. One of them prematurely dudded off of his hull, it looks like. So now this is a good opportunity, with both squadrons either being rearmed or returning to base, to evaluate the total situation of the map. We have control of Alpha and Charlie points, and right now, in terms of my own plane kills, I've picked up 15, which is most of the hangar of 1 Langley, so the 2 Langleys are probably desperate on planes. Let's try to clean up and finish the deal in that respect. So, trying not to overextend my combat reach, I choose to order my fighters to engage these enemy fighters in the vicinity of the friendly Kuma to try to tip the balance in my favor whenever possible, and I think we're doing a decent job of it. And an interesting thing, you actually saw the friendly fighter float plane actually land alongside that Kuma as it was returning to ship. It's a little interesting how they decided to get that animation off in here. So, not wasting any time with the enemy fighters closing in at, well, the second squadron of enemy fighters, I should say, closing in on my squadron of fighters right after finishing off that other one. It's no surprise that, one, we're losing this engagement. They've just come off that last engagement with whatever damage they had, and whenever you start losing planes, balance is just tipped. But this lone fighter really put up a fight, brought them down, that squadron down to 2 planes, which allows me to launch my remaining fighters in a hurry to finish off those last 2 enemy fighters. Something of note for carrier drivers everywhere: if you haven't already noticed that when your plane reserves in the hangar fall below the total plane count per squadron, the rate at which they rearm decreases by a certain amount per plane under capacity. This is something that you can use if you need to react to a situation quickly, especially at endgame. So with the enemy fighter threat pretty much eliminated for this match, focusing on trying to hit this New York. We've got, looks like maybe a 3 torpedo hit there. Not a particularly great hit against a New York, considering that, well, came in on the normal and he was turning. It wasn't the best move could have done. If at all possible, you should try to hit your targets, especially US Navy battleships, at an off angle from the normal, preferring towards the stern side of the ship. So that means you're vectoring your torpedo bombers not in directly from the side, but just off that side axis towards the rear of the enemy vessel. So right now, I'm at 25 plane kills. What would be better than to get the clear sky achievement in a tier 4 battle with a Langley? What could be better? So we're going to try for that. We're going to gun for that achievement right now. There's this, oh, what do you know? There are 5 torpedo bombers right here. When you ask, RN Jesus delivers. So let's go ahead and see if we can pick this up. We've pretty much decimated the enemy down to the every corner that you could imagine. 925, 926 versus 22 points. All 3 capture points are ours. There's just 1 cruiser, 1 battleship. Let's see if we can beat the timer. Sawed off, you, Nicholas. These are my planes. Sawed off, you. 2, 1. Oh God, please don't take the kill, Nicholas. Please don't take it. Please don't take it. Sawed off, damn it. Come on, come on, come on. And we do it. Yes! And that's game. So this isn't a particularly fantastic result for carriers, but it really does demonstrate the skills that are so important to the US carriers, and that is balancing the offense with your torpedo bombers or dive bombers and the performance of your fighters, which are really and truly a good strength of the US Navy carriers at the moment. So all is said and done, 113,000 credits, just a lick under 1,400 experience. That is base experience, by the way. This was not my first win of the day, nor was it my first win ever, because I think this was the first day I'd actually had the Langley. So this is a pretty good achievement right now. The only one on our team that really beat us out for experience was the Nicholas out there that we were vying for the last few air kills for the Clear Sky achievement. Well played to him. But as you can also see, and I didn't really highlight this in the video, that our allied Langley really wasn't utilizing the full strength of his carrier, either in his fighters or in his torpedo bombers. You saw him make a lot of rather clumsy automatic drops and really didn't use his fighters to interdict against the enemy very much. But that's another subject altogether. As you can see, we managed to put together looks a little over 80,000 damage on this in turn between floodings and torpedo hits. Not doing too bad. Picked up the majority of pretty much all of the enemy fighters actually. I think all but 3, and picked up 9 torpedo bomber kills. That's pretty good for Langley in a tier 4 match. Once again, I'd like to thank you for having stuck with me through this video. I hope it was educational for you all. I hope to see you around for some of my other videos to come. Please consider subscribing if this content or other content on the channel is of interest to you. And as become traditional over the last few videos, I'd like to bid you all good day.